Hey, how you doing? It's your good friend Blazing Cactus, and you might have noticed that I haven't posted anything in a year and a half. Yeah, that's not an exaggeration. It has literally been a year and a half. Hey, but you know what? During my time off, I guess you could say I went around the block a couple times. I've done 8 theater productions. I've done 1 math contest, and I would have done a second one this year if it weren't unfortunately canceled due to COVID-19. I've been a part of 8 musical honor ensembles. And just to name a few experiences from those ensembles, I got the privilege to play the piano for a jazz band. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I went to Australia to perform at the Sydney Opera House in their choir. And then I would have gone to Allstate this year if it hadn't been for COVID-19. This year is really the worst, isn't it? I played an entire tennis season on the varsity team, and I got 5th place in a chess tournament at my school, so it's pretty neat. But that's enough of me vomiting out my personal life story. Now I'm going to show you how to write a song. Yeah, I know, it's a daunting task, but I think anyone can do it if they truly have the desire to make some music and are genuinely willing to put in the hours. Also, I want to make it very clear that there are many different ways to write music, and you might find a method that works way better for you, and that's great. Congratulations. Look, this is just my way of doing things that personally works best for me.
This video is too next level for some people to handle. Viewer discretion is advised. Common side effects to this video include long-term trauma, the Spanish flu, death, existentialism, and a sudden twinge of sympathy for Marxist values.
So, with all that behind us, it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of this video. How does one write a song? Well, I've actually come up with a step-by-step system that should do quite nicely. Let's take a look. So as you can see, I've put together a 6-step process for song making that I generally follow for my own music. And I know that a lot of these terms might be unfamiliar to you, but they'll all be explained in good time. If we look over at this second screen here, you'll see that I've included some tips that you should try to keep in mind and follow throughout this whole project. Number 1, relax. Is this familiar to you? Because if it is, then chances are you probably should just take a break. There's really nothing wrong with just stepping away for a while and reflecting, because, you know, if you're just trying to forcibly push creativity out of your system like this, it's really just going to end up producing something you're not particularly proud of in the end, so just keep that in mind. Number 2. For the love of God, write everything down. Or as I like to call it, fitlogwed. Okay, we all know that feeling. You're in the shower and you're just humming a melody and you just think, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. There's no way I'm going to forget this in a million years. Guess what? You are definitely going to forget it in the next maybe 2 weeks tops. I don't care how good your melody is or how good your shower was. It is just imperative that you write these things down. Oh, hey, Yeah? Okay, I was just going to tell you that you should probably use flat.io because it's a good website. You know what? You seem like a down-to-earth kind of guy. Well, that makes one of us. Well, fine then. I don't even get that phrase anyway. Why would you want to be down to earth? I want to be in space. I want to be in a magical world in space. That's so much cooler. Okay, just use the freaking website. A very useful tool, in my opinion, that I've included in the link in the description below is flat.io. And this is actually a web application that I use pretty much every day for my own music, and it basically allows you to put all of your notes onto a screen that you can follow. It even lets you choose all the instruments and lets you hear the sound of what your song is going to sound like. I mean, you know, it's nowhere near as good as the professional studio quality MIDI sounds that come out of, you know, things like Cakewalk and Sonar, but it's definitely a start because it's free and all you need is access to the internet. And it looks like you already have that if you're watching this video, so there you go. And I've also included figure 1 here, and this is a treble staff and a bass staff. And you can basically follow this figure for pretty much anything you write on flat.io, because all the lines and spaces are labeled here. I won't actually verbally go over these, but you can pause the video and I'll timestamp it right here, just so you can go back to this point in the video and use this as reference whenever you're trying to write your music on paper. Number 3, use your imagination. Don't let your music be limited by the illusion that you lack the resources, because A, once again, you can use flat.io to kind of access the sound that you want, and B, if you want a guitar part in your song, for example, but you can't play guitar, it's okay. Don't give up on that, and keep imagining your song with that guitar part. There are always workarounds. 4, have fun. If at any point you find yourself not having fun during this process, honestly, maybe it's time to move on past this song, because at a certain point, if you're just getting too frustrated and you're just trying to push notes out of your system, it's just really not going to work. Anyway, let's finally get into this process. Number 1 on our list here is to think of a melody, maybe about 2 measures long. Thinking of a melody is not only the first step in this journey, but it is quite possibly the most difficult. So many songs face their birth and death during this step, so don't get discouraged. Don't try to push it. Once again, relax. You'll probably think of something in the shower. You've probably heard the word shower about 5 times more than you bargained for in a video about writing music. So with that, let's discuss the sub-steps. Decide on a key. It's good to do this early because you don't want to get used to playing in the wrong key. And believe it or not, deciding a key is actually simpler than it might seem. For our purposes in this video, we'll just be working with 2 general types of keys, major and minor. After you have your melody, you'll have to discern whether it's fit for a major or minor key. And just in case you don't have any background in music, I'll be providing a short guide on the basics of major and minor keys. So I would suggest that if you don't have a piano, get a piano app for your phone so you can follow along. This is figure 2. A piano ranging from C3 to C5, and I've labeled all the notes for your convenience. You're welcome! Let's start with the major key. We'll be using the example of G major. Every key is named after a note which acts as the tonic. In G major, the note G is the tonic, and it will be acting as the sort of protagonist of this key. Chances are, when there is a musical phrase, there will be an ending cadence which resolves to the chord G major, since it is the tonic. Any key is made up of 7 diatonic notes. These notes are decided by a formula of whole steps and half steps. A half step is the smallest possible interval to play on the piano. And, the reason that I'm mentioning the piano so much in this is because it's kind of the mother of all the instruments. Pretty much all the instruments are based around the piano, and it has the most keys and range, so that's what we'll be using for this tutorial. So, examples of half steps are C to C sharp or D flat, E to F, A to A sharp or B flat, and B to C. A whole step is simply 2 half steps, so C to D, E to F sharp or G flat, A to B, and B to C sharp or D flat. So the ascending pattern of whole and half steps for a major scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Therefore, going back to our example, G major, the notes diatonic to the key of G are G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. And of course, you would add a G at the end of that to finish the major scale. You can use this pattern of whole and half steps to figure out literally any major scale. C major is one of the most popular scales because due to the place that C is on the piano, the C major scale conveniently doesn't have any sharps or flats, so you only have to play the white keys. For a minor scale, the arrangement of whole steps to half steps is whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So the notes diatonic to the key of G minor are G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, and F. And once again, of course, you would finish off the minor scale with a G on top. A minor is very popular because it, like C major, also doesn't have any sharps or flats. So, now that you have this music theory under your belt, my advice to you as to how to choose the key of your melody is simply to hum it to yourself, and then use the piano for reference to figure out which notes you were humming. It's good to trust your gut when choosing a key. If you don't have a gut instinct, then just choose the best key for the vocal range of whoever's going to sing for the song, if it includes vocals. If it's an instrumental, just choose the key that's easiest to play on your instrument, because it's likely that this is your first song if you're watching this video. So now all that's left to do is test it out. Is it catchy? Are you proud of it? Would you find yourself humming it in the shower, per se? If not, that's okay. Once again, this is probably the hardest step of the process. Just keep going and don't give up. Number 2. Assemble a chord progression underneath the melody. A chord progression is basically a sequence of certain chords that repeats itself. A chord is generally made up of a triad, or 3 notes played at the same time, each of which is separated by an interval of a third. For a major chord, the major third comes first, then the minor third, and vice versa for a minor chord. Sometimes chords can have a seventh in addition to the 3 chords of the triad. For example, a G7 chord would be G, B, D, F, because it includes the 7th degree of the scale. In the key of G major, the G major chord is considered the 1 chord. A minor is considered the minor 2, D major is considered the 5 or the dominant chord, and so on. In a major key, the conventional chords to use are major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and diminished 7. A diminished chord is built from 2 minor thirds. Examples are G, B flat, D flat, and B, D, F. In a minor key, the conventional chords to use are minor 1, diminished 2, major 3, minor 4, major 5, major 6, and major 7. Also keep in mind that when you play these chords, you don't have to play the notes in order. Playing them out of order is actually called playing inversions. As long as you play the right notes in the triad, you are still successfully playing that chord. And don't think you need to stick to just these chords. You could use a flat 7 chord in a major key or a minor 5 chord in a minor key. This is just a guide as to what the usual suspects are for people who don't particularly know where to start. So, when you're trying to organize a chord progression, a method I use is just to play the main melody in the right hand and play 2 octaves of the note that I'm on in the chord progression I'm trying to test out. You can play more notes than just one like I do, but I generally think that playing the 3rd or 5th of a chord in the bass sounds too muddy. That's just my personal preference though. Don't be afraid of your instincts. There are no wrong answers, just opinions and preferences. Number 3, decide on structure. Most songs have at least verses and a chorus, but you can add sections like an intro, a pre-chorus, which is a section consistently before the chorus, or a bridge, which is a miscellaneous section where you could add instrumental solos or anything like that. Anything goes in a bridge. This means that you'll likely have to come up with 1 or 2 more melodies for the multiple sections, depending on whether you decide to make your original melody the chorus or verse. Or you could use the same melody or chord progression in all the parts and use different variations or foreshadowing to distinguish the different parts of the song. The possibilities are endless. Good luck. Number 4. Honestly, this is the section that I have the least to say in. This is where you have the most freedom from this tutorial. The only thing I can really advise you on for this is to consider the mood of the music and write your lyrical story with that attitude. You also have to keep in mind the rhythm and syllables of your lyrics. Make sure you have enough time to spit out everything you're writing down in the right amount of time. Counterpoint and contrasting motion refer to how your voice moves in relation to the notes of the other instruments in the song. For example, contrasting motion implies that the treble notes of a song are moving down while the bass notes are moving up, or vice versa. Once again, and I can't stress this enough, trust your instincts. Vocals should probably be the most instinctual part of your composition. Number 5. Ah, yes, instruments. This is where Flat.io comes in handy. It's not perfect, and the MIDI sounds certainly aren't anything to write home about, but it's great for keeping a record of your work. So, the first question you need to ask yourself is, where is the main voice? Well, okay, if you're singing in this, it's probably your voice, but okay, which instrument is the main voice? This is the instrument that's going to play the main melody. Common suspects are guitar and piano. As for the supporting instruments, bass guitar and drum set are always a good option. The bass guitar will generally play 1 note at a time, sometimes 2. It usually serves as a foundation for the music and plays the root note of each chord. So, for example, if the chord progression were major 1 to major 4 to major 5 to major 1 in G major, the bass would likely play G, C, D, G. Maybe with some extra color and rhythmic contrast sprinkled in. And again, this is your song. Make it unique by adding chimes or a suspended cymbal or another miscellaneous instrument, as I like to call them. Number 6. Lastly, embellish and finalize. Proofread, listen to Flat.io's crappy MIDI system, proofread again, and show it to your friends. Tell them about how hard you worked in the shower. Or maybe not, because that sounds very weird. Maybe I should have taken my own advice and proofread the script for this video. So, thanks for watching. We've accomplished a lot in this video. I've given you a general guide as to how to write a song, I've said the word shower 8 times, and I've gone over the basics of the music theory of chord progressions, which, well, I mean, it's not even theory at this point. I mean, it's so established that it's like a law. This is This is music law. Anyway, I realize I might have left out a lot of things, and I might have used a term and forgot to explain it or things like that, so make sure to let me know in the comments below so I can improve for the next tutorial. So, as always, thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.